Yo, what's up, guys? Anyway, today on the show, I'm joined by a female trader. I'm joined by Nareen. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's also good to also have a female trader on the show as well. And I'm really hoping that a lot of females out there are going to see you as an example and be like, no, I want to be like her, you know?
I'm hoping we can do that.
Yes.
We need some more women in this industry.
Yeah, no, that's good. So obviously we're here to talk about you, your story, how you got involved in Forex. But obviously let's go all the way back to before Forex right now. And what was life like back then?
Back then.
Before you even heard of Forex and all that.
Okay, so I come from very humble beginnings. I was raised in an Indian community called Indonesia. And I actually attended boarding school from the age of 11. So I attended the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy. You know, we learned a lot of characteristics and how to be open-minded. We need to persevere. We need to be, knowledgeable about things. And I think that's the reason why I've pushed as hard as I've pushed, because of the background that I've come from. So once I've went from the academy to university, I then realized, okay, university is not for me. And it's not that I struggled academically or anything. I actually excelled academically.
Okay.
But, when you feel like something is just not meant for you.
Yeah.
So during first year, one of my modules, I encountered what Forex was, but it never went into depth.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This is something that's interesting.
Okay.
Let me look into it. So I went through the year reading about Forex and everything, and I actually decided to start learning about trading. Had I not been as open-minded as I am, I don't think I would have actually pursued this as a career, because, a lot of females also get very intimidated by the amount of men in this industry. And it's also sad that a lot of men look down upon women in this industry, and they say, oh, what are you doing here? It's not meant for you. So as hard as it was, and as many times as I've tried to give up, I just couldn't ever see myself not doing it.
Okay.
There's something that always draws me back into it, because when you're passionate about something, when you love it, it doesn't really seem like a job. As strenuous as trading is, it's not a job. I don't see it as that.
Okay.
I see it as more of something that's my passion. So I enjoy doing it,
Yeah, so the first year of you focusing on Forex after you dropped out, what was the learning process like during that period?
So it was very confusing. Let's be honest. A beginner who genuinely just opens up a book and looks at it and is like, okay, this is now my career. And then you start to read things and you're like, something here is not right. After that, I decided, you know what, let me actually go for a course.
Okay.
Still, I was a bit confused. It was very hard. And me being the person that I am, I was like, no, let me do this.
Yeah.
So because I went to boarding school and stuff, I used to receive an allowance. So I've saved up my allowance from grade 8 till matric. So I took that savings and I was like, okay, let me see what I can do with this. And I went live shortly after I went for my course. Mind you, at this point, I thought I had everything on lock.
Yeah.
I went in to the market and that was just not great.
Yeah.
I blew account after account.
Yeah.
And I mean, as I was only 18, losing that kind of money hurts.
Yeah.
So I had two options at that point. I could have given it up. This is not for me. I could have walked away then. But then there was the part of me, as much as that, don't get me wrong, I cried every night. I cried literally every night. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it work because I have to make it work. I was looking at everybody else and I'm like, if they could do it, they also come from circumstances that have shackled them. What stopped them? If they could do it, I can do it. And I went back to the drawing book. And once I went back to the drawing book and I said, you know what? Where am I going wrong? What's really the problem here? And you find that as much as you may be good strategically and you can, have top tier analysis, but mentally, if you're not in the right space of mind, or if you don't have the psychological elements on lock, you actually don't move forward in the industry. That's what actually holds you back, because there's greed. There's the whole inability to take a loss. And I think a lot of the times, we also have this misconception that if something works for another trader, it's going to work for you.
That's true.
And it's really not the case. Each trader is completely different. So when I made that decision to continue, I studied more, I learned more, and then I started to condition my mind.
Yeah.
Conditioning my mind was literally the best decision that I've made. I cannot stress that enough, because when I went back to my drawing books and I sat and I looked at that trade history of multiple blown accounts. So when I looked into that, I was like, okay, here's my mistakes. I went back, I tried fixing it. I had mind maps. There were times where I literally would eat like maybe one meal a day and spend the rest of the time just working. Sometimes I didn't even like sleep. I used to stay awake during like the Asian session, trying to figure out when is the best time that the market is moving. Like, you literally have no other guidance except for you and the market, and you're trying to feel it out, and you need to see what works for you.
Yeah. Like, obviously, it takes a different kind of mindset to say to yourself that, even though you had a painful experience with this whole trading thing in the beginning, how did you train your mindset to be like, okay, no, I'm gonna keep going, keep coming back, I'm gonna study? Like, what was the driving force behind all of that?
So in all honesty, the driving force behind everything is my family.
Yeah.
So going back to the drawing board after experiencing what I've experienced had taught me so much more. And I think if that didn't happen to me when it did, I don't think I would have actually been the kind of trader that like I am today, because that basically molded me.
Yeah.
That's what made me go back and like build a stronger foundation before I could continue. At that point, training my mind and conditioning my mind, that was very, very difficult, because, I was also very young. I mean, I was 18.
Yeah.
And I have no regrets, absolutely no regrets with like losing that money or any loss that I've ever encountered in my life, And every time, whenever we take a loss, we don't call it a loss, we call it a lesson.
Yeah. So you talk about, you call your losses lessons, right? So like, obviously with those lessons, some lessons are really, really hard, harder than others. But like, how do you keep your emotions in check though? Like, what do you do to keep your emotions in check, especially when you're taking or when you're going through a lesson at the time?
So emotions and trading, they don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You cannot be overly emotional when it comes to trading. So the biggest thing that you need to do is detach yourself from money. The moment you start to detach yourself from the money, everything else starts to fall into place. Yes, it's hard because everybody has the attachment for money, because everyone has the need for money. But the moment you stop focusing on that and you start focusing on the craft, that's when everything else starts to work. That's the kind of mindset that you need to have to condition your mind to say, okay, yes, it's money, but you also never put money that you're not willing to lose. That's also one thing that I've learned that's kind of hard, because you need to be okay with losing money. But you never ever put in money that you cannot afford to lose.
Yeah, that's true. So obviously you've been doing this for a couple of years now. Life has obviously changed for you over time. So what does your day-to-day like currently look like nowadays?
Nowadays, live a good life. So if I wake up in the morning, so a typical day would be like me waking up in the morning and saying, okay, this is actually something I want to do today. I won't lie to you, I don't trade every day. And in all honesty, some days you just don't need to trade, because at the end of the day, like I said, you also need that break, you also need that rest. So some days I'll wake up and I'll be like, okay, today I want to go into the market, sit, look at my setups, and I'll actually execute a trade. Other days I'm just like, no, let me learn. Let me read something, because the market is always changing. It's always evolving. You cannot remain stagnant and just say, oh, a strategy that worked for me 3 years ago is going to work for me now. So sometimes I'll just sit and I'll monitor the market. Basically, having this sort of flexibility enables you to expand and do different things as well. So that I'm eternally grateful for.
Yeah, so how do you approach the markets? Like, when you open the charts, like, what are you looking for first? What's your approach to the markets?
Okay, so approaching the market, it'll also vary based on the kind of duration of trade. So do I want to position trade, or do I want to scalp, or am I, day trading? So analyzing the charts, I look at it and then I look for my confluences. So I open up my charts, my support, my resistance, my zones, very, very crucial, so that I know, okay, do I have an entry point? Biggest mistake people always make is forcing entries.
Yeah.
You can never force entries into the market, which is why patience is very, very important. I also need to sit and think, okay, what is my aim? for this specific pair. Am I looking to hold, or am I looking for a daily target? Because each account, like I said, is different. I have an account whereby I day trade, I have an account whereby I scalp, and then I have my swing or position account where I hold.
Different types of traders have different needs. Choosing the right trading style is essential for each individual trader. However, choosing the most optimized account type is just as important. The range of account choices at Exness is to meet the various trading styles of different traders. The standard account is the most straightforward commission-free account type that has market execution and suits most general trading styles. The Pro account provides commission-free trading with the most competitive spreads and instant execution that is preferable to minimize potential slippages for the more demanding professional trader. Our Raw Spread account offers the lowest spread with a fixed commission as compared to ECN competitors. The Zero account has a stable spread predominantly of 0.0 with a range of instrument-based commissions, giving more predictability with no spread trading for most of the day. All our account types have the same approach of competitive pricing and best execution. Exness does not limit these account types, and its customers may use any of them to see what works best for their styles.
So let's get to it's my favorite part of the show. I always say this, but let's talk about your favorite trade of all time.
My favorite trade. Okay, so my favorite trade had to be last year as well.
Yeah.
So this was around the June period. Also a very, very stressful period of my time, life, my trading career. If I tell you guys the figure, you might be like, what is wrong with you? Why would you hold such deep drawdown? But I knew that my analysis was going to work out. I really, really knew. So I held out this trade. And eventually, when I did close out the trade, it was the biggest profit I've ever made. And I think that was also something that I should have done when I encountered my biggest loss. But at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Let's talk about your biggest loss that you have taken. It doesn't necessarily doesn't necessarily have to be in monetary terms, but where you just sit there and just I was in deep fire, it was tough.
Ooh, yeah. Hey. Okay, with this one, so I trade Nasdaq a lot, and basically at this point, Nasdaq was very, very volatile. And I know I executed my trade and I was in profit. So I trade New York session. So at that point it was 3:30. So executed the trade. I was in I think 10,000 Rand profit. But then I was like, you know what? This is not my profit target. So I held the trade. And the next thing you know, this thing is just tanking. And I had long positions on it.
Yeah.
Then I was like, nah, it's fine. This always happens during New York session where it does these things and then it starts to reverse afterwards. So I left it. So it started to rectify, came back. Next thing you know, it dropped further. So eventually at the end of the day, I closed out my trade. Now, and I'm open to sharing this with people because I want them to know that as much as you may be in the industry for as long as you need to, as long as you are, you still make these mistakes. Because what I had done was I went into the market the next day. I wasn't supposed to do that. I was supposed to step back and be like, what happened? And then the following day, same thing. I traded that whole week and I lost that whole week.
Sure.
So I took a break after September. I sat back and I said, I need to understand why I made this mistake. Because it was basically stupidity afterwards. Chasing the market is something that I tell people not to do. So why was I doing it? And ever since then, and it's been a good couple months now, I haven't repeated those same mistakes. So am I sad that I lost that money? Very sad. But do I regret it? No, because it needed to happen for me to learn.
So any trading advice that you have for viewers at home or at work, wherever they're watching from, especially the people who are struggling to make profits or to be consistently profitable and all that, any advice that you might have for them?
So my biggest words that I'd like to leave people with, and I think I've mentioned this before, is when you get into the industry, don't get into the industry because you're chasing the money. Start learning the basics properly. Build a solid foundation. And I promise you, if you build a solid foundation, it's okay if you take time. I think people also join this industry because they feel like they need to rush.
Yeah.
It's not about rushing. Take your time, learn. And then even if you need to stay on a demo for like a month, 2 months, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being on a demo account for so long. Also, when you're starting, don't let people always bully you into putting a lot of money, because you don't need a lot of money to start trading. Yes, it's easy to make money when you do have the capital to do that, but don't let people bully you into saying, oh, you need to start with this amount. That's not the case. Start with what you can afford to do. Also, make sure you have proper guidance. Guidance is very, very important. And like I said, that's what's going to help you train your mind, because at the end of the day, also if you lack that kind of support, if you do have a mentor, that's also demotivating, but yeah, consistency is key. So trading plan, trading journal, risk management plan, those are things that you need to have. And I know nobody likes admin. If you tell me you like admin, I'm going to be like, no, you don't. But really, it's going to help in the long run. That's the only way you can point out your mistakes and you can fix them. So trading plan, chasing the knowledge and not the market, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you so much for the knowledge and just everything you've dropped on us today. I really do appreciate it, and also for coming out. Yeah, I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I had fun, and I hope that this is able to impact a lot of people and it's able to inspire people, especially females. We need more female traders. We need to see more females in the market, and I have a lot of females always reach out to me and they're keen, but it's just they're scared. I need for them not to be scared. I need more traders, female traders. As much as this has been a male dominant industry for many years, I think that we do need females to come into this industry.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, perfect. Anyway, thank you so much to Exness for making the show possible and sponsoring Market Masters. And thank you very much, guys, for watching.